being in this place with you, Whimsy.
Wow. Was that not beautiful?
That was gorgeous.
Beautiful? That is the amazing Katie Adelson. That is Fiddle Tunes with Katie Adelson. Be sure and
Fiddle
check out,
D.
yeah, Fiddly D, the fiddle player Katie Adelson. Be sure and check out Cold and Frosty Morning fiddle music. That's what she was playing.
Well, we've got to get you out on the ice with your fiddle.
Gosh, I long for that. I long, darling.
I know you
be that kind of a violin player.
Yes.
And it's kind of funny. My violin teacher, I didn't know this when I hired her, but she specializes in fiddle music.
Really?
And I am in love with the fiddle. And she's like, well, to heck with all this classical. Let's just get you to be a good fiddle. I was like, no, I want to have a strong bass in classical. But I also want to do, play it brings me so much joy.
I hope you're doing fiddling on top of the classical if it gives you that much joy. It's good for
your
soul.
I love playing the violin. I'm so grateful that even if I got to start, even if you get to learn an instrument, they're so cheap now on Amazon.com, $99 for a functional violin. And I mean, you can also buy them used. It's not like as cost prohibitive as before, and you can get violins and lessons online.
I see this.
But there are people that are taking up woodwind. There are people that are taking up the guitar for the first time, the piano, the cello. I just love it. I love it. I think we've got to get past this whole idea that we're too old for anything.
Well, this is also what we've been talking about. People, to get through these times, we need to find what our own art is, whatever that is. For you, your fiddle playing. For me, it's my literal art, my writing. It might be somebody cooking in the kitchen. It might be my niece who loves numbers, who's an accountant. It's whatever your own personal art is. It gives you joy and makes your soul sing. And that's what I see with the violin. When you were out here visiting me, it's 2 years ago, right? Or is it 3 years?
You painted.
2 years.
You painted.
I watched you. And it was just beautiful to watch you. You were just so in your element. You were in this very beautiful meditative state while you were playing your violin. I even did a little drawing of you.
I know. I got it. I absolutely loved it. All right. Well, speaking of, bringing us joy and meaning, particularly when it comes to us, as we get older.
We're getting older?
Yes. We always think about our legacies and we think about what we're going to leave behind.
Sure.
And I know today we'll be talking a little bit about that as we prep to end 2025. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe it was
2025.
I think it was the year of the snake.
You were telling me.
And then we're moving into the fire horse. I miscommunicated. I accidentally said that we're entering into wood horse. No. 12 years ago, we were in wood horse. Wood feeds fire. And now we're entering into fire horse because in Chinese medicine, the wood feeds the next element. And so we're going into from a wood horse, it's now transformed into a fire horse. And in Chinese medicine, wood is associated with gallbladder and the liver. And this is where we get into our gall. We start to become angry. And when that happens, when we start to have congestion in the liver and gallbladder or the wood element, that's when we start to see anger, or we've talked about this fire rising where heat will come up from the liver, the wood element, and then fire will come through the eyes. And that's because of this Chinese idea that wood feeds fire.
Yeah.
So what I meant to say today is that we're in the time of the horse, and the horse was perceived of as very rapid moving energy.
Yeah.
And the best way to understand the Chinese zodiac is to think of it as somebody's farm and what life would be like on somebody's farm. And so when you look at your opposition animal, it had to do with what would be observed on a family farm. An example would be that rat in wintertime seeks, and also when it gives birth, it goes into the horse's den.
Really?
Yes.
I'm a rat.
Right.
The year of my birth, a rat.
It goes into the horse's den to gather straw for
Yeah.
the babies and also to stay warm. And so what often happens in that kind of energy is that horse feels, you moved into my freaking apartment. You're like an unpaid roommate. So and then rat loves to collect things. Well, I thought I would move in. It's, you know, got a lot of extra room here. I'll take some of your hay. I'll have some babies. I'll eat the hay. And then I found some cool objects here, so I decided to put them up around the house. He's like, get the hell out of my damn barn. Pomp, pomp, pomp. So this is the reaction between that, but this is where it comes from. Rabbit does the same thing. Rabbit, well, you ain't using this hay, and I got babies to birth. But there seems to be more of a tolerance, and they think it's because the rabbit is larger. Rabbit has an issue with rooster, and again, it had to do with what was observed on the farm. So the rooster was paid in cracked grains, right? You know, pellets. There you go. Feed the rooster. Yeah, my job is to wake you up and to take care of my hens and to control the area, to eat my corn. And then rabbit shows up. Well, I moved in with horse, and that food looks pretty good, so I'm gonna help myself to that delicious corn. I got babies. So what would happen is the rabbit would come in and attempt to steal the food of the rooster.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you know, come on.
Right in the hen house, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
So it would go in and would steal the food, and that would cause the rooster to go ballistic because his hens are eating. And so a cockfight or a conflict happens on the farm between the rooster and the rabbit over this food acquisition. You moved in with the horse, now you're eating my food, and so those are the most contentious relationships on the farm. Whereas they do fine with dog. Excuse me, sorry, got something caught in my throat. They do fine with dog, and they do fine with goat. That are, you know, they'll cuddle up next to, because they're not threatening the goat. They're not threatening to eat the goat. They're not threatening to hurt these other animals. The other thing is that they can have a violent relationship, rabbit with snake. And snake will attack a rabbit, and a rabbit will kill a snake. Believe it or not, a rabbit is capable of killing a snake. If the snake attempts to eat the baby rabbits, the rabbit will kill the snake.
Well, you were telling me it's not especially a good time to be a rat next year, because rats and horses, as you outlined, don't get along too well.
Right. It's
I'm wondering
about
what kind of year this is going to be for me.
Right. So like 12 years ago when it was just evolving the horse energy. It starts off in the wood element. That's all about territory and space. The wands in Tarot. It's about territory and space, but now it's in full-blown fire. People are worried about war, erupting quickly, 8 of Swords type, excuse me, 8 of Swords type energy in the card chart.
Yeah.
Rapid volatile change.
You know, I was just thinking, we're going to have astrologer Joyce Petrus on our show later this month. I wonder, I need to ask her if she ventures into Chinese astrology, if she would have things to add to all of this. I'm fascinated. As you were describing it, I kept thinking, what a great Disney animated cartoon this would make.
Yeah.
All this going on in the barnyard.
And dragon swoops down and dragon eats rabbits. So predatory birds which falls under dragon, would be
Mhm.
a dangerous for rabbit. Rabbit needs to stay away from that because that's that's the predatory bird. The dragon's lunch is going to be picking up a couple rabbits.
Silly wabbit.
Rabbit. Yeah, so it was just what they observed
Yeah.
on the, farm. It's interesting because my best friend is a rooster,
Mhm.
but over the years, she's like, "Well, why don't you just move in with me? And you're the cook, so you can cook the food. This will be a great way for me to be able to get free food here because
Mhm.
I'm the cook." So the rabbit moves in and starts eating the rooster's suggestions. I take over the kitchen every time I go to visit.
Oh, you could do a whole show just on this, on Chinese astrology, or even
Yeah.
teach a class on it.
Well, it was taught to me as a farm. I saw a farm and I saw all the
That's a good
animals.
way of
The
understanding it.
predatory bird came down as the dragon and it was attacking. So it just if you think of it as a farm and the dynamics of a
Yeah.
farm, it helps you really try and work out Chinese medicine. And then when you add up the Chinese medical wheel, the 5 seasons of Chinese medicine, or what we think of as the 5 seasons and also the, 5 elements. Have you ever seen the 5 elements?
No, this is something I'm not really familiar with. I find it quite interesting.
Let me see if I can get a good picture for the
Yeah.
audience because it'll
Whimsy,
really. Yeah,
did
go
your
ahead.
mother, you said that your mother was an astrologer. Did she teach you a
Mhm.
lot of this?
I
Did she?
took TCM in medical school. I took, and also before medical school, I
Uh-huh.
studied TCM, and, TCM gets into talking about the relationship between the elements but I really wanna see the image. Let me see if I can find the image because when I teach people how to read, the tarot, we get into the crossover with 5 element theory because
Yeah.
you have 4 suits. Wands and fire go together under the wands. The wands go as wood and fire because of this relationship between wood and fire, and that's why I was talking about the wood horse from 12 years ago is because it gives birth to wood. So you can see here on the top, wood is associated. Can y'all see this?
It's a little small.
Okay. Let me see if I can.
That helps a little bit. I had to put my own glasses on here.
I'll keep zooming it in. How's that? Is that better?
That's much better. At least it is from my end.
All right. So you can see on the top that wood feeds the organs of liver and gallbladder.
Mhm.
And so when we start to get that kind of congestion, you'll have like PMS would be liver congestion, which can give birth to anger. And then that spills over into fire, which is heart, pericardium, small intestine, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So the last time that we had that rapid galloping horse energy, it was in its wood state, but now it's grown up a little bit. It's been
Mhm.
fed by the wood, and now it's in its fire state.
Fire.
Yeah.
Now, is that a chart of evolution? Like wood goes to
Yeah.
fire, fire goes to
Yes.
earth, and so
Very
okay.
good. Excellent. So,
Intriguing.
the next time it comes around, it will be an earth. 12 years from after that, it will be an earth horse, and that's going to be much more balanced, and that would be more like the Knight of Pentacles, where it's the horse that's Clydesdale, that's slow and steady,
Yeah.
and it's more about digesting things, and it's a much slower energy, a much slower horse than you would get from, say, the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is the fire horse,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
the Knight of Wands is also the wood horse because
Yeah.
we only have wood to represent wood and fire in the card chart.
Yeah. Well, what comes to mind to me with fire is my first thought was volatility, war, volatility,
Yes.
fighting, but could it also mean passion, enthusiasm,
Yeah,
excitement?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of it. I'm a water rabbit, and I understand the horse wants their territory back, and my thing would be to move. I'll just go find another barn. I'm really done with drama. I don't want to, and
I
spring
know.
comes and I'm going to be doing my nesting thing. I'm going to find a nest where there's no horses around. I don't want trouble. No horses, no rooster, no energy. I don't want to be taking anybody's corn and getting poked by the rooster. And I don't want these problems. So after that, the reason that fire gives birth to earth is because of the idea that on the farm you would be making pottery.
Yes.
And you fire your kiln with the earth. You've made your earthenware, and then you fire it, and then it gives birth to pottery.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing you'll find as you continue to dig deep in the earth, deep underground, is under that earth, you start under the clay. What's under the clay?
Under the clay, immediately I think of gemstones,
And
minerals, metal. Yeah, I was going to say metals like minerals. Yeah.
Very good. So the earth gives birth to metal in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
What does metal give birth to? It gives birth to water, and that's because the shiny surface, as it comes up out of the ground, we see this shiny surface, and it was this idea that now the metal is being transformed into water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm even thinking about minerals in the water.
Yeah. It carries the minerals. Very good. And then water, it's going to feed the earth.
Yes.
It's going to feed the plants, and that is why the wood grows. So the water gives birth to the wood. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can also see that it's the instigator or the mother. Now, what gives birth to the other is the mother of the other. So the water is the mother of the wood, and the wood is the mother of the fire. So the wood horse of 12 years ago, the wood fed and allowed it to evolve into what would become fire. The antagonistic relationship is the arrows you see on the inside. So metal controls wood. Mm-hmm. You can see this coming up here. Metal controls wood. And so you'll see that kind of clashing starting to happen. For example, if you're in a fire year and you are a wood element, you may start to feel pressure from fire because fire will burn wood.
Yeah.
But you have like metal will chop the wood. And then wood can control the earth by covering it. You build a house and you cover the earth. And then earth,
and shelter.
And earth can control the water by absorbing it.
Yeah.
So the earth just soaks it up. And then the water controls the fire. You can see this positioning over here going into here. Water will put the fire out.
Yeah. I love this.
Yeah. And then here again, fire's relationship with fire controls metal, and that's because metal will melt under fire. Yeah. So that's the whole thing, and I just wanted people to see it so that they could have a broader understanding of why, when you were born, you might have been a water rabbit, but 12 years later, when it hits again, it's gonna when the time of the rabbit comes again, it will be a wood rabbit. Then it'll be fire.
And again, how do we determine what type of creature we are? We were born like I was the rat.
You were born the year of the rat, and then you have to find out if it's a wood or I think it's wood. Were you born wood? What year were you?
1960.
Okay, so I think I think you're a wood rat.
I'm a wood rat.
1960 rat. Wood or fire or water? Wait a minute, let's find out. You are, let's see. The year of 1960 was the metal rat.
The metal rat. Ooh.
Yeah, that's very
metal rat.
You know what? I think that's auspicious in a lot of ways because metal will cut through the crap, and metal is associated with lungs and large intestine in Chinese medicine, and about speaking truth to power. And you do that because you're a channeler.
Thank you.
So metal is sharp. Metal is the swords in the card chart, and Archangel Michael, who speaks the sword of truth. Metrodon, is that how you say his name? Metrodon He also presents often in swords as the King of Swords, or the voice of
Oh,
God is metal, the truth of metal, and Archangel's Michael's sword. So that's kind of cool.
you just taught me something new about myself today. And everybody out there is just seeing what a gifted teacher you are. Something that I've
Oh,
known for many years. You're
well,
just a natural born teacher.
oh, thank you. Yeah. So when you think about, who are you going to get along with, or
Mhm.
who are your allies, you want to make sure just rat ally. Who are your rat allies in Chinese medicine? This I can't remember, but I think that you probably get oh, interesting. You get along with dragon and monkey
Oh, dragons and monkeys.
and ox. So none of those animals are bothered by rats on the farm.
Okay. I'm even writing this down right now so I won't forget. Yeah.
So a monkey probably befriended it, probably, became a pet or something, but it was never an antagonist. It was never observed as an antagonistic relationship in the wild.
Mhm.
And I do think that dragon's just kind of symbolic for any predatory bird. But some predatory birds will hunt rats. So that's kind of interesting that it wasn't seen as an antagonistic relationship.
Mhm. Yeah. I forget, what are you, Whimsy?
I'm water rabbit, so I have to
Water
be
rabbit.
careful to avoid rooster because
Mhm.
I'm always taking, I might eat the, we're fighting for
That's
food.
yeah.
And then horse can be irritated. It's not directly negative, but they can get a little irritated by this thing
Mhm.
coming in and having babies in my freaking backyard here. I mean, I'm trying, guys, we're trying to eat hay here, people. We're trying to eat our oats. We got our apples. What is this? So there's a little bit of that going on. Not as bad as rat though, because when rat moves in, it takes over, and it's really a feeling, I think, on the part of the horse. Like I've had friends that have farms, the horse has stomped the babies of any animal that gives birth, because
Oh.
as any animal would, it starts freaking out and then stomping,
Mhm.
and then theoretically a rabbit or a rat can get killed because it's cold, and they've
Mhm.
got heaters set up for the horse. So who's going to be moving in? Back in
Mhm.
the days when it was China, they would actually have bins. They would burn firewood.
Mhm.
So where the horse was pretty damn great. He had water. He had his hay. He had them burning wood to keep him. So where are the rats going to go? Where are the rabbits going to go? They're going to go into the barn, and then they're going to compete for food and space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except I've got dragons and monkeys I can call upon to my defense.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. I do know
I
that
love it.
I do know that monkeys do befriend and adopt a lot of animals as pets, that monkeys have pets, and that's been observed in the wild. So,
You know something?
yeah, and even when they are domesticated in the zoo, they'll often adopt cats. Even cats that will sneak into the zoo will become adopted by the monkeys. So monkeys get along really well with cats also.
Mm, as so do I. Look at Sasha. She's in her box right now, an Amazon box, and I didn't have the heart to take her out. She's asleep right now.
Righteous. So, listen, have you gotten the book
Oh,
yet? And do tell people a little bit about our book and what's going on, Chuck, if
well,
you would be
yes,
so
of
kind.
course
Thanks.
I have our book here. In fact, we're going to have our wonderful author, Marian Haley Moss, in our studio next Tuesday after our show for an incredible interview. We're already saying 30 minutes is probably not going to be enough time to
Oh,
talk
I'm
about
going to
it.
go over.
Oh, I'm sure we will. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It's a wonderful actress, wonderful Hollywood stories, but also it's about her spiritual journey
I
tied
think
in
she's
with that.
funny.
Well, and also, and I was saying this the other day on the show about dreams need feet to walk on, the literal title of this. Many times I go through that myself as an artist, a creator. I have all these ideas constantly in my head, and it's about making them real, giving them the feet to walk on, bringing them forth into the world. So I love that notion also.
I love the fact that the story starts. This kid is very creative, where her mother goes to the hospital and has her gallstones removed, gallstones removed. And so she brings it to show and tell to the class. Look, here's my mother's gallstones. Like she,
I know.
it was
That's great.
how it
That's
opened.
great.
This one's really big. It's like, well, it doesn't bother my mother, so it shouldn't bother us. But what I liked about it also is that she talks about also the elemental development of her relationship with her mom, and
Uh-huh.
that really it was her mother that wanted to be the actor. I think
Really?
that her mother got away from the dream, it was the depression, it was a hard
Mhm.
life, she was living a miserable life, and they would go to the films to get away from that, and they would dream,
That's my
and
mother.
this is what Shirley MacLaine also said, that
Yeah,
her mother would go to these films
sure.
and she felt like she was Shirley MacLaine, like she was
Yeah.
pressured to give her mother her dream because
Well,
her mother had so idolized these actors.
yeah.
I got that with this one too.
Well, I have often felt that about my own mother. My mother had me late in life, so she also grew up in the Depression. And my mother also went to the movies for escapism. She would go 3 and 4 times a week back in those days when a lot more movies were being shown because it was pre-television. And I always suspected my mother was the one who wanted to come out to Hollywood, wanted to be an actress, but she just didn't dare do anything like that. Where I did do that, I did come out here. And just like my mother also wanted to travel. My sister's done a lot of the traveling. I'm the one who came out to Hollywood, literally, and started at least trying to pursue my dreams and my creativity. So it was living out a lot of my mother's unfulfilled wishes. I've often felt that way.
Wow. Yeah. So I think that really is an interesting thing that she talks
Yeah.
about that shapes her life. And I'm really excited to talk to her about what these actors were like, Alan Alda and all the other famous people that she
Well,
had.
we've got our own stories, Whimsy.
Yeah. I'm a huge
I
fan
know.
of Alan Alda's. I had a
Yeah.
crush on him since
Did
Matt.
you? I
Oh
saw
my
him on
God. Hawkeye,
stage.
of course. We
I
didn't have a crush
saw
on
him
him.
on stage. I'm trying to remember what the play was. It was more than 20 years ago. It was a Neil Simon
Oh, I think
play.
it
I
was
think,
the one,
was it Jake's
same,
Women?
same time next year.
No, it was, he did the movie same time next year, but I'm talking about on stage.
Didn't
It-
he also? But he also did on stage same time next year with Carol Burnett,
he might have. I know
and
he's,
he and Carol Burnett did the best performance of it.
well, they've worked together many, many times. And they grew up together, in downtown Hollywood.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
really
they
cool.
they go back to childhood even. And of course he used to be a guest on her show. They've done stage things together. They've worked together in films like The Four Seasons. Did you ever see
Yeah.
that?
Oh, I
In
love
fact,
the Four
Tina
Seasons.
Fey just did a remake of it for Netflix.
Yeah, I
It
saw
was a
it. I
multi-part
saw it. Yeah,
series, and Alan Alda had a small cameo.
yeah, he had a little bit of one.
Yeah, but I think he's close to 90 years old now.
Wow.
And he has Parkinson's. So you could see on camera he was shaking quite a bit, and they were trying to photograph him from the shoulders up so you wouldn't see all of his trembling, but it was still present. But it was beautiful to see him.
Oh wow,
They wanted him to be a part of this remake.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck, let's go ahead and turn the camera around. Who's all with us today?
Well, let's see here.
People.
Let's do our romper room magic mirror here. I see Becky. I see Johnny. Okay. We have Brenda Rakestraw, Angie. I hope I'm saying this right. Angie Gutierrez, 223. I hope I said your name right. Our fabulous Joel Tilson, our floor director. We're always grateful to you. Sally Joe, 4267. Susan Louis, 3155. Let's see, is that Kayame? Kayame, 8940. You'll have to please pardon me if I'm not saying your names right. I try my best here. Let's see, Renee. Rock and Pony Lady. That's easy to say for me. Anthony Rizzo, the barber. Paperback writer, 123.
Awesome.
Wendy Burt, who designed your
Hi,
gorgeous
Wendy. Always
hat.
good to see you.
Good to see.
And, oh, I wanted to give a shout out actually to Teresa Patent. Is she in the audience today?
Let's see.
Is Teresa around?
I'm looking. I don't.
Teresa has a garden. Is it Marion? Hold on. Who sent this to me? Oh, Maria Teresa Patton. Maria Teresa Patton, thank you so much. I got your note and I wanted to just give a shout out. You know, I always can use a ton of rosemary. She got me rosemary from her garden. She got me basil from her garden. She got me
Oh,
rose petals. Look at this.
that's a very thoughtful gift for you, the way you
I
love
absolutely,
herbs.
well, yes. You know, I
Yeah,
go crazy with the herbs. I've got hundreds of pounds of herbs in my
I know
home.
you do.
I was running out of sage. This is the time
Oh,
of poultry, people.
I burn a lot of
Okay?
sage
This is the
too.
time of poultry, and I need sage. I need massive amounts.
We need to
Mass
build
quantities.
bonfires of
That's
sage right
right.
now.
Lemon balm. Hello.
Oh,
Depression, seasonal
hello.
affective disorder. Go to the lemon balm. And of course, she gave me some bay leaves. I'm a happy girl.
Oh,
This is all, this brings me joy. It
you
brings me
made your
joy.
month of Sundays here.
Thank you, Maria Patton. I always call her Teresa. Maria Teresa Patton, for that generous gift of herbs. They will be used. They're
Oh, yes,
always
they will.
used. Yes.
Do you burn sage?
I do burn sage, and I have it back here because, sometimes when I get into dark and dreary places, which is frequently if I watch too much politics, I can get depressed. It affects me in a really big way.
Affects everyone.
I got to pull back on that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I got to be cleansed from all that remote viewing.
Mhm.
Politics is dirty business, folks. You don't want to go down there. That is a raunchy skank down there, DC. You got to burn that sage
That's a raunchy
in all your nether regions. You got to burn that sage. Add some Palo as well. Just fumigate the whole damn place after you.
I agree
doing
with
DC
you
work.
on politics. I have, because I do this little show called Taco Tuesdays with Dr. Whimsy Anderson twice a week. I have to keep up with politics and the news. And sometimes I'm like you, I like, ick. Like I want to go take a salt bath or I shower. I want to burn sage. It's just such yucky energy. And so many people I talk to say they just cannot watch the news anymore. They can't be around the energy.
Well, speaking of which, I think that we, excuse me, we got to talk about the latest. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, rumors about Donald Trump in serious ill health. People are demanding that the real medical documents be released. And now we have members of Congress that think that Trump is not only hiding his medical records, that he may be under an experimental drug for Alzheimer's and dementia. What are
Really?
you thinking, Chuck? You think there's any truth
Well,
to this?
I'm remembering when he had COVID, they were doing experimental treatments on him. When you're the president of the United States, you get the best of the best of the best of medical care. And even if that means taking unconventional means, it's whatever is necessary to save the president's life. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's taking something experimental.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think that we've been talking a lot about going into that fire year, that this is a year of fire, rapid change in fire. I meant to say 8 of Wands. I accidentally said 8 of Swords. After it came out of the mouth. No, 8 of Wands. 8 of Wands is fire, quick, quick, quick. So this is the time of that, and with his he is losing control. He's coming out of denial. They tried to iron out the facts for everybody. And now we're in a situation where I think we're talking about an active cover-up, in which case, what do you think about that?
It surprises me because, initially I thought this was going to pave the way for giving him a graceful exit to resign from office. And I had speculated that we would start seeing more medical reports being released, about his deteriorating health, and for the good of the country, he would give up the office of the presidency because of his failing health and not being able to serve. I don't think he wants it to be that he's incompetent and out of his mind, even though we know he is. I don't think he wants that being the terms for his leaving office. But right now, I'm wondering if it's just too hard for him to relinquish power. and he's having second thoughts about this.
I don't think it's up to him. I mean, if he
He may
can't
not be.
fly, if the president can't fly, isn't it pretty much over? I mean, how can you continue on if you can't go anywhere?
Well, the only thing I can think of, video conferencing. You know, we live in the era where you can do that. I know it's not the same thing, but he could certainly do that even from Mar-a-Lago. You know, you've speculated he might stay down there for the winter months rather than face the brutal weather in DC. And also, we've already seen where he's having people come to him. Like, how many trips has Zelensky made to the White House
2 or 3
lately?
now.
Yeah, it's been more than usual. It's like people are coming to Donald Trump now. So I think it's kind of an open secret around the world that he can't.
Well, also he
fly.
couldn't fly to Saudi Arabia. I mean, we had to give special, you know, they wanted to arrest MBS for the murder of Khashoggi, but he's flying in and he's getting the royal treatment. It's like,
Yeah.
this guy is not going. I think that after what happened in Japan and with the health concerns, I was asking Grok about somebody with this medical conditions, would they be allowed to fly? And Grok said most cardiologists don't want to see you flying more than 4 hours, if at all, given the medical profile that
Yes.
was built by Grok. It's not advised that this patient fly at all. But if he's going to fly, it should be under 4 hours.
Yeah, which would allow him to fly to Florida.
Yeah,
you know, something like that. Also, I read that he's going to be hitting the, you know, the, shall we say, the campaign trail. I know that's not the right word for it, where he's going to be giving more of his lectures, his, what's the word for it, when he speaks to large crowds of people. What, I forget what Trump called it.
Speeches.
Well, anyway, yeah, speeches. And anyway, because he wants to support the Republicans for the midterms, he also wants to tout his policies and all he's done. Like he said the other day, I give myself
I'm as popular as Hubert Hoover.
I give myself an A+++. He said that in an interview.
Yes, but Pete
Hegseth, also feeds his ego.
But Pete Hegseth destroyed all of that. He destroyed my perfect record. He got to go, Pete Hegseth.
A stain on his legacy. And now I'm not going to get my Nobel Peace Prize, gosh darn it, because of Pete Hegseth. But I think Trump is one of these people, he has this insatiable need to be out speaking to the people. You know, it feeds his ego. So if he can take like flights under 4 hours, I could see him maybe, I was wondering how he would do it, but if he can do that, then that means he can probably travel at least to places on the East Coast.
Well, also, well, if he goes to Pennsylvania, that's an hour and a half. And then the next
he was just there.
Right. And then the next stop can be West Coast, right? Because if he has a downtime or something,
that's a good point.
Sleep, spend one night in Pennsylvania,
good
and
point.
then fly to California from there. It would probably be under 4 hours.
Yeah, it's generally.
Or you could have him go Pennsylvania, Colorado.
Yeah. Well, I know when I used to fly back east, from east to the West Coast, it was generally 5 hours, but maybe a little quicker.
Yeah. So
when you're an Air Force One.
Yeah, it's an hour and 20 minutes from DC to Pennsylvania. So from Pennsylvania, he might visit the Midwest, and then from the after have some off time, and then he could fly to the West Coast, and then nobody would know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, but I thought, you know, he was going to be wanting to leave office by the end of the year. You know, with his, we were picking up how unhappy he is, how his health is failing, he's exhausted. And it's also looking increasingly like the Democrats are going to take over all the elections in 2026, the midterms, and he's going to be a lame duck president from that point on. In fact, they'll probably call for his impeachment and removal from office. So maybe that's another reason he wants to get out now or soon.
Well, I think that he was in a state of denial, but as this stuff heats up about his health and it's not just his health, it's the fact that his mental health is causing poor judgment in the form of who he's putting in positions of power, like his FBI, like his Justice Department, like his Department of War,
like his entire cabinet.
Nobody is a functional adult, and that in and of itself is making people question the judgment of this guy. He gave all of his friends jobs, and they weren't necessarily capable of doing the jobs they were hired to do.
Oh, no. This is considered the most incompetent cabinet in American history. And that was being said back in January and February.
It worked to my benefit. They just took all the ideas I had, erased my name, and then put Trump's stamp on it. There wasn't, when I ran the proposals we were trying to do for the rebuild, that it was like 85% matching my original document. So I think that because they really don't know what the hell they're doing, somebody comes up with a really great idea, and Elon Musk says, "Oh, I like this idea." So then they just erase the person's name and put their stamp and give it to Trump, and then he regurgitates, "Oh, where's my Nobel Prize?" Because I don't really think that they know how to do more than that.
I mean,
it's really, I don't think that a little person like me would have gotten through the front door if it hadn't been for their complete lack of functionality.
You're right.
Them and a couple of other people. That's what I'm beginning to think. Listen, if everybody, well, I had a good idea, but I think it would have been more vetted under Biden, is what I'm saying, and it wouldn't have been just verbatim. I think that Biden would have been a little bit more. I don't know. I'm thinking. So we're going to go ahead. We'll do the empath prayer. If anybody wants to receive a healing today, please give us your name or the name of a person that you want us to pray for, and we will happily include them in our prayers today. We believe in the power of prayer, and if people come collectively together, then we can manifest amazing things. I believe that. Also, once we get done, Chuck has a reading he would like to give. Queen Elizabeth has come.
Queen Elizabeth came to me on Sunday, and I found her one of the easier people to channel.
Yeah, I found her very easy.
Yeah, you said that yourself. I had not really made an effort to channel her before. I sat down on Sunday. I like to try early to make sure I have a message for the Thursday show, and it was very, very easy. I just went into a calm, meditative state, and she just started talking away. In fact, she likes to talk. You said this yourself. I have a friend in Canada who channels Queen Elizabeth quite well, and she has told me the same thing. So I think Queen Elizabeth on the other side very much wants to get some messages through to people who are receptive to listening to her. So we'll have that for later in the show.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead now. We'll do the empath prayer together, and let's put out some good vibes and some healing to everybody who is requesting healing today. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say Amen.
Amen.
And for those of you who are requesting a healing at this time, we come together and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again, we say collectively, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed.
May all souls be healed.
May all souls be healed. Wow. Yes. Well, Chucky Poo.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that, I don't know what Queen Elizabeth thinks of everything that's going on. The monarchy is kind of dying too, isn't it? In a sense that after the whole Andrew, you had one person, Harry quit, I quit, and out the door he walks. And then you have the case of Prince Andrew.
Very unique case with Prince Andrew.
Horrible.
I mean, we know, of course, about the abdication of the throne in 1936, but that was at least voluntarily done. Leaving for the woman he loved. A great consequence, of course, but he chose to do that. Andrew, it was like one of those old movies where a military officer is being, they're ripping his medals off of him, and they take his sword and they snap it in half, and then they humiliate him in front of everyone. It was like that. I mean, all of his ribbons, his titles, everything removed. He's no longer a prince. He's been evicted from the royal residence. He's a commoner now. Yeah, I mean, I can't think, I tried to look back in history. I can't see anything in modern British history where this has happened before. Maybe someone out there could correct me. Can you think of anything, Whimsy?
Napoleon?
Maybe, but that's going back. What?
I mean, that's where my head goes. If you're asking me honestly, what it equates to, it would be the fall of Napoleon.
Yeah. I mean, when Elizabeth spoke to me, she alluded to some of this, but she did not address Andrew. And my job is not to influence this. In fact, I do my very best to just get out of the way and be like a secretary, just taking dictation and by. So it's where, and this, Whimsy, from your own heart center remote viewing, where you're listening from your heart, you're listening from here. It's very quiet. And what you're doing is, it's kind of like translating a language. You're taking these feelings and translating them into words. And sometimes I do hear literal words. And it always surprises me because I just start writing this down and then I read it back and it makes perfect sense. And even the personality of the person is there. And that's kind of my checks and balance, that I did not influence this. I actually received this. I go to links. So I, as much as I wanted her to talk about Andrew, she just didn't. Okay. She didn't. But she did mention Charles, and she mentioned Anne. And I think because it was her first time, she kind of wanted to introduce herself a little, even though that's kind of redundant for you or for others. For me, this was the first time she'd spoken to me. So that's how it came. But do you want me to just go into it?
Of course.
Okay. She said, listen to the great wisdom innate to a woman, a wise and experienced woman who observes, keenly observes, the quiet, still waters of a woman, turbulent ocean waves of a woman. I was sometimes considered the most powerful woman in the world, but I had a mystique in that there was very little that I ever revealed of myself. I was discretionary, and that mystique was a power all to itself. I maintained it carefully and meticulously. I had a divine guidance. See, no one could get rid of me. I was appointed and anointed by God. And in parentheses, she put, after all. You had no choice but to deal with me. An extraordinary power bequeathed to a woman. Call me a ceremonial figurehead, but the truth was I calmly and quietly was much, much more. I knew this. My father taught me this when he prepared me for my lifetime of duty to the people. It was a power that overwhelmed even my own self. Daunting. I proceeded with deliberate conservatism. Every day of my life involved balance. Careful balance. My every word, thought, and action carried intrinsic gravitas. This was not something to be taken lightly, ever. A monarch does not simply pass down a crown. It is a grave misassessment to just assume that a figurehead role that it's a figurehead role that almost anyone could step into. Put a crown on their head and a robe on their shoulders. It is a lifetime of meticulous teachings and diligent preparations. It's as powerful as it is fragile. Charles was never truly ready, even after decades. William is not there yet either. The power of this is killing Charles. I fear William will not fare much better. Sheer steely determination is what kept me alive for as long as it did. The same was true for Philip. We had to hang on and persevere. Philip's role was to fortify and strengthen me, to serve as my sounding board with harsh, brutal, painful honesty that was essential. I trusted him. Once he died, I realized with certainty my months were winding down and I would only last for one more year. I prayed hard my final year and used the power of my mind when my physical body was rapidly deteriorating and failing me. I was starting to die. I gave much of my final earthly energy to preparing Charles and William as best as I could. It was grandly selfless on my part. I was a woman who was never permitted to retire. I gave the very last of myself to the monarchy. I did my conscientious best to my ability. One of the bravest warriors was seemingly a frail, minuscule 96-year-old woman. I have been powerful men in other lifetimes, but I knew I had to incarnate to be a female leader this time around. I was literally born to be a queen, the queen. In many ways, this was how I was seen across the planet. The grace of God kept me firmly and resolutely in place for 7 complete, complex decades. I represented stability that was essential. At first to my country, but truly it was to the world. I grew into a grandmotherly role, the world's matriarch, a profound female power. The matriarch is someone that you listen to and abide with the deepest of respect. You do not question, you simply do. I use this power with no ego and the deepest sense of responsibility. I knew my impact at every single second of my life and acted accordingly. Inevitably, I made mistakes, on occasion egregiously. I was human after all. But I acted from my heart and my mind and my conscience because it was a higher calling. The deepest sense of profound responsibility, even for the most minuscule of actions. Not just any person can ever step into this role. It can easily fall apart and tear like ancient parchment paper. Truthfully, I knew for many years that Anne should have rightfully been my successor. I should have made more waves than I did to change the line of succession, and I regret that I did not. Charles has ultimately ended up being a placeholder for William. He is a good-intentioned man who has tried his best, but he is in a weakened state of physical being. One of the consequences of taking on such a burdensome role at his advanced age. I was a 26-year-old woman when I ascended. The weight of the crown is too much for him to endure for much longer. Some argued that I should have stepped aside on his behalf much earlier, but I knew that he was never ready. So I held on. It always felt like the right decision. I stayed true to my oath. William is young and strong. I will guide him to the best of my ability. Much will depend upon his willingness and ability to accept guidance that may be unpleasant and feel harsh to him. If he resists, it could be his own undoing. His daughter Charlotte is the best equipped of the 3 children. Perhaps modern sentiment will work in her favor to one day ascend to the throne. This is assuming that the monarchy even survives. It could very well come to an end. And then there was another statement she said to me later, and this has nothing to do with this, but she said, "Did you know that some of the happiest times in my life were when I had dirt and grease under my fingernails and I was taking a car engine apart? I adored being a mechanic during the war when I was a princess. It was so liberating and I felt so useful in a completely unpretentious way. No pomp and no ceremony." Anyway, that was my message from Elizabeth.
Oh, wow.
How did that feel to you, Whimsy, since you channel her?
It sounds like she knew she was going to be in front of the camera, because when I spoke to her, it was not in official capacity. It was more private
Yeah.
friendship, talking about just being human, that she thought her husband was a mannerless buffoon, pretty early on in their marriage, that he had terrible manners, that she drove her, she expected to be treated like a queen in her marriage, and that didn't happen.
No.
So, she thought she was going to be worshipped by this man, and instead he was just a sailor. You look all right to me, broad. Yeah, we've got to get ready for this. Yeah, put on some jeans and let's go. It was a little bit that they were kind of rough and ready, of how they had to come together.
It's so interesting you say that, because I've made that comment myself. Like Jacqueline Kennedy has come to me for over 30 years. When she comes to me, usually it's the private Jackie. She's very motherly with me. She gives me practical advice. But when I said, may I have a statement for the public to read on the show, I saw the same thing with her, where she shifted herself, and it was more like Jackie going to the podium making a speech. So maybe that's because I told Queen Elizabeth this is a public statement. So it's interesting you had that observation.
Yeah, whereas in the remote, it's very bizarre. I've been to Buckingham Palace. I've had astral dreams where I go there. And the first time I met the assistant to the Queen, she was also the woman that gave finishing class to Meghan, taught Meghan how to do certain things. But so that was the first woman I met that prepared the breakfast for the Queen, which was very simple, just boiled egg and toast. And marmalade and tea. That was basically breakfast.
I understand she had very simple tastes.
Yeah, and the dishes were in the sink. And I was talking to the assistant, and the assistant had made the meal. Like, it wasn't like they ordered down and then this big. No, the basic simple things can be cooked right there in her own private apartments, which I thought was new information for me. She could take out a yogurt or a boiled egg or something like that. So it gave her some independence if one of her assistants could just prepare something very simple right there.
Yeah.
So, but
I know she loved American television.
Really?
Yeah. She watched a lot of our television shows.
I would imagine that she would love Monty Python. I could just see her laughing her head off with Monty.
Well, Prince Harry let it slip that she did watch The Crown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'd love to know what she thought of it.
Having her, what was her drink? Her drink was vodka and lime, right? That was her drink?
I'm not sure. I read that she always had a glass of champagne before she went to bed.
Oh, champagne. Very nice.
In fact, she drank throughout the day.
Yeah, I think Tom Collins, was that it? She would have she would have like a lemon spritz with some vodka or gin and tonic. That was her drink, gin and tonic. With
I always loved that story. She was having lunch with her mother, the Queen mother, and she wanted to have another glass of wine, and the Queen mother said, "My dear, you have to reign for the rest of the afternoon. That's not a good idea."
Very funny. So let's do some blitzes here. White House is coming up with a new revised plan to end the Ukraine war. Is there any end if Putin is not removed, and the threat of nuclear war from the crazy Russians? I mean, like, is there any way out of this not dismantling current leadership? I don't know. What do you think, Chuck?
I don't know. That's a good question. You got me pondering that myself. I mean, what would it be like if we had different leadership? I mean, would it be better? Would it be worse? As far as for Russia and the United States, how this would affect Zelensky.
Well, definitely Trump, definitely Putin. Putin has to go.
Well, he definitely has to go, but I feel Trump does too.
Of course. They enable each other. But let's take a look and see about the Ukraine war. what is going to be happening is, are they going to get to peace soon? I don't think so.
It seems like it's too much of a mess right now in its current state, but let's just see what I get here.
So now Trump is threatening Zelensky, saying, hey, why don't we have an election that you can be sure he and the Russians plan on sabotaging to get rid of Zelensky. Hey, why aren't you giving an election? I think the people want an election, right? Propaganda, take over Ukraine with Russian propaganda. You're getting tired of Zelensky, aren't you? Right? This is the way that Trump is. At this point, if it continues, Zelensky will make a deal with Putin, and he will give up territory if this continues.
Yeah, and it's much more than just the land, as we've said before. It's about the mineral rights, the oil.
Armistice Day is coming, and the sword of victory lies with his enemies. Walking away like he did what he had to do. If he can't get any support, wish is granted. So I think that Europe is extremely angry at the United States, but at the same time, they can't expect the United States to front the bill, and they sit back screaming, do something, do something.
Mm-hmm. It was so interesting. I don't want to interrupt you while you're doing your reading there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that it looks like a deal, but even if we get to peace, I think hard times are coming for Putin, because even if there's a temporary deal, 9 of Swords is over Putin with the Ace of Swords. So this is the guy who, yay, I won, and then he thinks he won, and then he winds up getting poisoned.
Mm-hmm. That helps me to understand a card that I got. I was trying to interpret it. I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah. So if they get to a peace deal that benefits Putin, and then Putin winds up poisoned, then that could be a way of getting around it, and then dismantling everything that Putin was able to achieve after that.
Yeah, because I was getting here. First of all, sometimes this just gives me the obvious, because it's setting up the scenario as it presently is, and I got shadow, exhaustion, despair. That's kind of obvious. But a card I pulled, I pulled this card, Solitude, and I immediately heard in my head the word isolation. And then when you said that about Putin, I think that's what this means. Putin being further isolated, removed from the situation. At first I was thinking isolation. Does that mean more being cut off from the United States, from aid, Zelensky having to go alone? But I think this means more what you were just saying about Putin.
Yeah, I think so.
I heard the word, and then I was thinking, now how does this apply?
Even if they caught a deal, long term, they're removing that guy. He's too much of a threat. You know, you have to conquer the threats one by one. Mm-hmm. Grok didn't feel like we had to take out China. Grok felt like we had to negotiate new trade routes with China, and then we can deal with the disaster that is North Korea. But right now, it's first ceasefire. We're now in phase 1. Phase 2, Hamas is lured to a host country. That's happening now.
Wasn't phase 3 taking out?
Phase 3 is the rebuild of Gaza. But
okay, stage 4
is that the peace we had requested, that basically like that the United Nations come in and protect these people that want to be protected from Hamas. So everybody who wants peace is going to the peace zones, and the peace zones are in the perimeter. Toy boat. Got to watch my how I get my English here. But so the perimeter is where the people are going. So they'll probably run out of space in Rafah. But the idea was that nobody would be able to hurt them anymore, because the Hamas terrorists wouldn't be able to get access to the people. So once they could do so, they created enough of a safe zone that so now you have the perimeters. These are the safe zones. So to the left, where it's North Sinai, and then security border, all along security border is where we now have troops going through the Morag corridor, Sweden and all these countries coming in to protect the people. So the people will be able to go into that area, security all around that area. That is the first oasis being built. And then once Hamas is removed, we'll probably be able to get a deal from Egypt to open up Oasis Sinai and give them even more space because they're going to be bombing and blowing up bombs that are like 500 feet underground in these deep areas. And then
bunker busters.
Yeah, and eventually a train system will come up along that border. So right now it's very exciting because we're in phase 2. Hamas is leaving, and we are seeing people go bye-bye. So that's kind of exciting. But I don't anticipate, because of how the computer spoke about it, that there will be the future Middle East has no place for Russia under this administration. They'll never be part of the Abraham Accords. If they are, it would be insane. You know, because Putin is too crazy.
Yeah. Trump. They parallel each other.
Yeah.
This is an intriguing question here.
Go ahead.
Will Kristi Noem go to jail for her lies and deceptions on deporting people? Well, by the grace of God, I would like to think yes, but I have a feeling no. But shall we look into it?
Oh, I think so.
I would love to see that woman go to jail.
I'm just too curious.
I know that she's on, put it polite, not so politely, she's on Trump's shit list right now.
Why is she? Why is she?
I read Trump's not happy with her right now, and she's close to being fired. I don't know all the specifics.
Ooh.
I read that much, but as far as her going to prison, it's just, well, I'm going to do this a two-part, a pendulum and cards.
Okay.
Is Kristi Noem going to go to jail for her? Oh, well, I got a no there on the pendulum, but do I even go further with the cards here? Well, let's see here.
You want me to go first or you to go first? Because
I'm still pulling cards. So why don't
all right, so I'll go first.
You go first.
Okay. Be sure, like, share, subscribe. We're having a lot of fun here. It would be a great way to get Chuck and me to 100,000. We'd be so grateful. Yes.
We would love that.
4 of Swords, where she's at right now, going nowhere. But you never want to see this juxtaposition of death with a 4 of Swords, because that can be really serious. That's like dead in the grave. So if you're asking about her getting fired, I also worry about her health, that she couldn't take the stress of this job. And then look at this. That's like in the grave, death, the casket, and then the Wheel of Fortune. It's karmic. She will not agree to sign something, or there's some kind of problem that she's going to have agreeing to something, because she has a 4 of Cups as her. So there's a part of her that is extremely upset as she leaves ICE, as she leaves this stuff, because she is not cooperative. They're extremely angry at her, and they're looking to scapegoat her, because that's what guys do. They usually will arrest the woman, like Ghislaine Maxwell. If they're all doing crimes, the criminal, to point to the weakest link. You can see here also the Queen of Swords puts the past behind her. Look at her opposition, though. Knight of Swords, those angry wind. We talked about metal and metal horse. This is metal horse, when metal horse is awry. You can see how freaking psychotic that is. You don't want to deal with metal horse. Hopes and fears, karmic end, and then chariot would indicate she's moving on. And I'm not going to sign that. I'm not going to agree to sign any documents that say it's my fault. No, I will not be your scapegoat. Absolutely not. 4 of Cups, 2 of Swords. I will not agree to that. So she is leaving, but she's also not agreeing to play by their game and sign certain documents that would make her culpable or responsible for their screw-ups. That's what I see.
Yeah. Well, I've got a whole mixed bag here that kind of tells a story about her. I think there's a certain amount of ego and bravado about her. I got this appreciation where this is how she wanted to be seen, appreciated. She wanted to be the star, but right over this card was shame. That's the truth. There's a lot of shame. It's like a reversal of what she was trying for. She saw herself as being very close to the president. I got leadership, family. She thought that there was this loyalty with the president, but truth has been coming to the surface, continues to come to the surface, and there's going to be a lot of restriction around her. There's a lock, a chain,
Oof.
people clamping down her. I don't know if
Ouch.
that necessarily means going to jail, but humiliation, shame, like we've said about a number of his cabinet members. They're going to leave in disgrace and shame. I see that disgrace around her, shame. But she thought she was just going to be this star in administration, and she thought she was being protected by the president. And that just, she has found what many people find out with Trump, if she didn't know that already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, this coming from the floor director, Joel Tilson. Will the Obamacare healthcare tax credits be extended next week? I'm really nervous about
It's
this.
not looking good because you saw the vote today. You know, that neither the Republican or the Democratic versions passed. They're about to go on holiday break. Was it Chuck Schumer who said this was the last chance to vote on this for now, before January, when all the hikes are going to happen within people's insurance when the credits are not extended. So, I mean, just based on that, it does not look good unless they do an emergency session.
Wow. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Gee.
And you know about what the Republicans wanted to do. They wanted to do that thing where they would give everyone like what was it, $1,000, $1,500, something. And never mind that the increases in insurance are going to be like that much just for the first month for people. It's like the Republicans are counting on people being too stupid to not recognize that. It was so bad. The Democrats at least wanted to extend the tax provisions for another 3 years.
Let's take a look. This
Okay, now what are we doing? We're just literally taking this
Will the
question.
Obamacare healthcare tax credits? Let's look at the cards and do the I think you can do the pendulum for that too.
Well, that's what I'm going to do. That's a yes or no. Will the Obama healthcare tax credits be extended next week? I got, can I ask it again? Tax credits be extended? That's a no. No, not, at least not in its present state. Maybe if it were to be radically altered and there was an emergency session, maybe, but I just get no, not in its present state. What do you have, Whimsy?
I feel guilty because I'm agreeing with you, you know, a stalemate, two of swords. I can't spin this, folks. I'm sorry.
This is where we both want to be wrong.
Yeah.
I want to be wrong. I did not like that.
It's worse. The opposition is the magician. So the opposition has the power. That would be the Republicans.
Yeah.
Hopes and fears the death of. They want to the truth is they are dragging people along and making up stories, but they want to strangle Obamacare and dismantle it.
Yeah.
Anything that is, but you know, there's going to be an expose. They've destroyed everything. They've torn the entire house down, the barn. Literally, they've torn the house down. Now they've fired the workers. So there's just a big hole in the side of the White House, and it's raining and getting freezing, and there's nobody there to finish the work. Is that what we're talking about right now?
That's what
oh my God! You want to talk about that, Chuck? Do you want to?
Well, it's a profound tragedy. I mean, something like 22 million people are going to be adversely affected. People are going to have their health care double, triple, quadruple, even. I've heard figures like that. And I don't even have to say the obvious, what that's going to do to the overall economy of our country. I mean, people aren't going to be able to afford to have health care, or if they do buy health care, they're not going to be able to afford other things. You know, that trickles down to restaurants, movie theaters, shopping. You know, I just see such a disaster here. And it's also the Republicans basically cutting off their own heads. I mean, here, how do they even hope to have a chance to get reelected in the midterms? People are going to remember this one. You affect people financially, this kind of devastation.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like he came, he saw, he destroyed, he collapsed.
Yeah.
That's kind of Trump. What's your feeling? Do you think he's, given how quickly his body and mind is collapsing, it's going to be a harsh winter? Can you see him in DC in February in the middle of a blizzard?
No, for a variety of reasons. We have even seen him just being out of office altogether by then. But certainly with his health, it would make perfect sense for him to stay based in Mar-a-Lago. Like what Richard Nixon did with his West Coast White House.
Oh,
He would
that's
just
yeah.
move the White House operations to Mar-a-Lago, and with all of our technology, it's that wouldn't be difficult to do.
But would you keep an employee that is in this situation?
Oh God, no.
Where his mind is going, and you've got to literally move his office to Mar-a-Lago because
Mhm.
his cardiovascular health, he can't be in extreme cold because of circulation.
Yeah, I would think anybody in their right mind would not keep a person on like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting because we're not the only ones predicting this.
Right, that's
That
true.
he's going to be out, and it's going to be J.D. Vance very soon. So when you say, do I see him in Washington in February, it could be a variety of reasons why he wouldn't be there anymore.
I just think it's, if I were his doctor, I wouldn't want him to be running around in DC in a polar blizzard. I'd want him to be staying warm with a blanket with his loved ones.
His
Take
loved
it
ones?
easy. I'm saying,
I don't think he has loved ones.
don't fly more than, stay where you are. You're an old man. I mean, like, he would be heavily restricted with the standard cardiologist. Look, the reason I think he went in and had all that testing and stuff before he went on a plane and headed to Egypt was because I think he had to be cleared for flying. And then when they saw his mental state in Japan, I think it was the beginning of the end for his ability to do overseas flights.
That was frightening as much as it was humiliating when he was with the Japanese prime minister and he didn't even recognize her and walked right past her and she had to call out for him.
Yes, and I think that was the last international flight he took.
I think it was. I was even wondering the other day when he went to Pennsylvania, but then you made the good point that he can travel at least for 4 hours on a flight.
Right. Yeah, so he can fly to the Midwest, and from the Midwest he can fly to the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. Do you want to catch this one?
Oh, yes, from Joel Tilson. Will the film age of disclosure on Netflix about ET's files lead to full disclosure and press conferences with ETs?
No, that's cool. Let's see about the aliens. Are the aliens is there gonna get some disclosure on the aliens? I used to think this was all a bunch of crap, and it's like, oh my God. Yeah, I didn't believe in any of this stuff until I saw the video out of you saw the video that Chaos Moogle, Chaos Moogle, right? When I saw the backyard incident that took place in Nevada, that was when my life changed when it came to, and I used to see a UFO by my house, but I never took this stuff very seriously until.
Didn't you say as a girl you used to see UFOs?
Yeah. That was in Las Vegas, right? That was known as the Las Vegas incident, right?
I'm not sure.
And that was the UFO Las Vegas incident, and it was Chaos Moogle, I think, that was talking about it. But it was the worst, when I remote viewed it, and I didn't expect to see anything, but when I remote viewed it, the feedback that came to me as I try to put myself in the shoes of the, aliens, what came into my feeling about it was, this is the worst security breach we've ever had. So from their perspective, the fact that they were filmed, the fact that this was happening to them, from their perspective, it was the worst security breach they'd ever had. So I think you saw this, right? Have you seen this?
I have not. I have Netflix. I'm going to look for this.
Oh, you do have Netflix?
I do, but I'm not familiar. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it. I'll look for it tonight.
Right. So what happened was that according to the remote, they were well, this is what I got, take it as entertainment, but this is what I heard in the remote. We were on a reconnaissance mission. This is what the aliens said in the trance state. We were on a reconnaissance mission and we were re-entering U.S. airspace when a missile shot us down over Nevada because our cloaking system was not working. And we crashed in a pod. They had an evacuation pod. And so the alien said we got into an evacuation pod and we ejected and we wound up in the backyard of this Latino family in Las Vegas. And the particular aliens are the classic alien, but this is the tall. So you have Homoglockus, the small Homoglockus, and you have the tall Homoglockus. Homoglockus is the technical name they now have, where they believe this species may be hominids that are distantly related to us. So you have Homoglockus, blue-gray humans that are they're distant cousins of ours that went into the caves to evade predation.
Yeah.
So their cloaking is not working, and they're using goggles because the other theory is that the aliens most likely evolved. They're not really aliens, but this life form evolved in caves. So they can't be around any kind of sun, so they have to wear goggles. But the goggles were connected to the laptop and their cloaking system, and it wasn't working. And so the hominid is trying to get the cloaking to work, and the cloaking's not working. So yeah, so let's take a few minutes of this.
Okay.
Me dijo a la médica no vale un show, la que dije me cerró y es muy callado.
Angkado que dije
que la médica la acabas. A mí dicen pálpale, hay que utilizar con camisas. Pero ella manusas, ella manusas.
E vuelta kasi silus, angkado vuelta kasi kayo ko silus.
Ni comni, pero para el Sino que parece para volar.
Ora me que cantis Paris le gallengue a la chorsi, ora y todo. Sosi. Ay. Permisar. Calmundarela me cansiles variso. Kailo, cherro que chili. Kailo, cherro. Kailo.
Uy, chetan.
Chili cow.
Angkado kisi baru.
Agladel, barón.
Chili cow.
Barón cayó, si le unía caca bare, Agladel.
Kai, cherro.
Adelo, diles.
Permisarle, sale.
Te escucharé lo que te cambian, Adelo.
Okay, so what happened was, according to the remote, there were 3 of them at least, but the pilot ordered his gunner and the scientist. There was a scientist, according to go into the tractor. He ordered them into the tractor. So the reason that the aliens went into the tractor was in case they start shooting, you're going to have to get some protection. So get into the tractor, so then you can hide there if they open fire on you. So that's why they went into the tractor. And above them you'll see what looks like strange creatures. Those are gargoyles. And what came out in the remote was that the gargoyles that they had created, the function of the gargoyles was to scare off the humans, that it was just a 3D fake image to scare the humans.
Kai, permisar, porque no, cherro, que calmundarela me.
I'm sorry, why go back? That's what I don't understand. Like, why go back if you're this scared? You can see what looks like an elephant with big ears on top of the tractor, right?
Yeah.
So I wish I could make this bigger. Can I make this bigger? What would happen if I did this?
Oh,
that makes it smaller. I wanted to make it bigger. Okay.
What if you did a screenshot?
There we go. Oh, that makes it bigger.
Yeah.
So they're inside. You've got 2 aliens inside those tractors, and they've jumped in case because they are concerned about getting shot at. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And that elephant thing in the smoke, that is them putting up a fake hologram to scare people off.
Kai.
Ande el camión, lo conchadica del camión. Ellos segundo, de izquierda para acá, de cables.
Kay, Charo, chidi ka bang ladel?
Del concho, cortelo, concho, dilo.
Kay,
Forklift.
forklift o camión?
Okay, so you can see this light here, that light right here on the right and right here on the left. Those are two creatures, and then the guy in the back is the gunner. So you can see three lights. Those three lights are the goggles. The guy on the left, the light on the left is the pilot. The one on the right is the female, the shorter one. She's the scientist. And the one in the back, that's the gunner.
Dile que a casa lo brindis. Viene un chavo, o sea, pico charico se dalo.
Chidi ka bang ladel?
Vaya, me dígale completico.
Oye, de cables.
Kay,
cable.
Kay.
Cortelo de que acá, dile que acá callale, yo muy pelón, sí, pelón, varón, pelón.
Ya, Charo.
Enchalo usted dos, dijeron de
I just think they're so calm. I think
Yeah.
the aliens are so calm. They're just trying to
Yeah.
get communication back to the base.
Yeah.
They're trying not to freak out. They've got guns. We're in the tractor to protect ourselves. We are a non-violent species. We use cloaking in order to protect ourselves. We are not set up to fight you right now. We
Right.
can stun you, but we are non-violent. So we have no way of protecting ourselves other than scaring you with these spooky fake images that are these holograms we're creating. But you're seeing the goggles.
Concha, que la de que chuca
Pero
abajo.
acabó segundo.
Yeah, so that's basically what that was. And so what Chaos Mogul did is he went in and he went in and did a thorough reexamination. So what he did is he played with the imagery because he's a Hollywood editor. I mean, he's a filmmaker. So he looks for fakes. And so that's his job, is to look for fakes, to look at AI special effects. He makes them. He was trained in this area. And so he was asked to go in and digitally enhance it and see if he found anything.
Yeah.
And is this real? Is this fake? What does he see?
Yeah. Sounds like the perfect person for this. Somebody who is astute in the ways of CGI and knows how to recognize what's real and what isn't.
Right.
I'm sure he's quite an expert.
Right. So we'll show a couple minutes of this.
We're back with one of the most iconic, influential, and groundbreaking sightings ever. It is the Las Vegas UFO incident, where the UFO crash lands into Angel Kenmore's backyard and aliens emerge from the craft. The family is so stunned and scared that they draw their guns in fear, ready to shoot whatever these creatures are, only to be stunned by fear. And this isn't just a regular recap. We're going to go look back at the original story, and we're going to add some updates and further video enhancements to better see these aliens in the backyard. Enjoy.
The most compelling and credible UFO landing of our history has now been fully analyzed, and I can show you the extraterrestrial.
So they said that it was because of the color, it was a meteorite. But according to the remote, it was not a meteorite. According to the remote, they were shot down over Nevada because their cloaking hadn't worked, and when they were on reentry. And now, and according to the remote, the reason we got into the tractor was these guys were going to shoot us.
Kay, forklift o camión?
Cartelo pegachari, palalo, catacodocola. Palalo, dile que a casa lo brindis. Viene un chavo, o sea, pico charico se dalo. Vaya, me dígale completico.
Oye, de cables.
If you pay close attention, you can actually see the beings in the tractor blinking and looking at the family. I'll actually highlight it in the processed video. Now, this is the best that I could do with the video I received.
Anda el camión, no concha, diga del camión.
Segundo.
El segundo, de que el de para acá, de cables.
Kay, Jero, di ka ang ladel.
El concha, costelo, concha, chisitilo.
Kay,
Eso no muy.
forklift o camión?
Eso no muy. Costelo, pegachari, palalo, que te acordó con la. Palalo, dile que a casa del hombre indique. Viene un show, o sea, pegachari, cuidado.
Ki di ka ang ladel.
Vaya, me dígale completico.
Kay,
Cable.
Kay.
Costelo, de que acá, dile que acá, callale, ahí yo muy pelón, sí, pelón, varón, pelón. Y ya los dos dijeron de concha, que la de que chujaba.
As you can see here, I circled one of the creatures. The other one is standing right behind him. Don't worry, I've also enhanced some images from these stills so that you can get a better look at what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
The Las Vegas UFO mystery.
So basically, the conclusion was that this was a major security breach. The other thing that happened when he enhanced it was he found that they were behind the fence.
The bottom right behind their fence and right up there. But we're going to first start down here because I found something crazy.
Spots I wasn't even focused on holding more mysteries.
To this video. And I'm going to point out two things you need to pay attention to right here, which is the head. And if you look really close, and what you will see in about a minute is a hand. That I believe is some creature, non-human, crouching down. And that was its eye I just pointed at. And I want you to pay attention to what appear to be fingers running up the fence as if it's kneeling down or something and peering out. And then there you go, see the fingers. And I think I go back and forth a couple times here, but it looks to me like there's a little other or a big creature looking through the fence on the bottom there, crouched down. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but you tell me. And then there's his fingers going right up and down, up and down. Just looks like almost a human hand crawling up the fence. And at the very beginning, you see an eye. And I think right here, I show you the...
Yeah, so it's just crazy what comes out. And then up here on the top, you can see that they're cloaking, but you also begin to see above the fence. And I just think that if you were this species and you were nonviolent and didn't have a gun, and your only way of protecting yourself is cloaking, and your cloaking system is failing, and these people got guns, and you're terrified, and you're like, get us the hell out of here, and you're communicating with the base. We have landed. We're in this is the worst security breach we've ever been in. And you've got people firing. You're going to order your team to get into the tractor to protect themselves. And I think that's what happened. Yeah. Absolutely crazy film. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, we've always talked about this, how they appear to be benign, gentle creatures. They're not even carnivorous. They live off of algae, plants, berries. They're here in peace. So my heart actually went out to them, being scared and having to go into hiding and fearing people's guns, weapons, and doing whatever they could. But I get that they're here in, shall we say, in peace. They're here in peace. They're here as benign beings.
Yeah, and what they communicated with me was that this particular species is hominids, that to avoid predation, they went into the caves. They avoided war, so that is why their technology is so advanced, because all their technology went towards cloaking and higher thoughts, because they weren't running around killing each other. Also, they weren't hunting animals, so they weren't fighting for space to get the meat, because they weren't eating the meat. They were living on swamp water and algae water and fungi, which has vitamin D in it. And it's
one of the most complete foods in the world.
Right. And when they did a computer analysis of the physiology, they said that they probably consume the small grays probably consume about 800 kcal a day through pharyngeal filtration. So they're sucking the swamp water in their mouths and then maybe spitting parts of it out and chewing it through a pharyngeal filtration system. They think that that's how they eat.
I'm thinking even sublingual. like under the tongue?
Yeah,
If they even have tongues.
Their system, we have the fish gills that close
Yeah.
that are part of this part of our throat, and sometimes they don't close entirely, our fish gills. And in this particular species of hominid, they believe that it turned into some type of pharyngeal filtration.
Yeah.
That's basically what the computers came up with. And the reason that the aliens had goggles is because they're living in caves and they cannot handle this sun. It would be like a bat, so they have special goggles, and that's the light you kept seeing. That was their goggles, and they just had the cloaking didn't work, and that was how they wound up in that situation. But that's one of the most amazing proofs of quote unquote these creatures' existence was the expose that came out of Nevada.
Yeah, that would make so much sense why they come out at night. All these sightings. Yeah, I'm thinking not just their eyes, their skin. Their skin would not be able to handle very much sun. I mean, even the radiation from the sun.
They have special suits, but you're right.
Yeah.
Coming out of that cave dwellings, to steal a strawberry. I mean, hopefully now they can grow them underground or something, but don't want to steal our strawberries anymore. But
sweet creatures. Have you tried to communicate with one of them? Do a remote viewing?
Yeah, when I did the remote viewing on them when the Vegas incident happened, and that's what they said. They said we were on a reconnaissance mission. We were coming back. We got shot down by U.S. air defense.
Yeah.
Over Nevada, and we escaped through an escape pod and wound up in these people's backyard. And the pilot ordered his people in to avoid getting shot. And then he went on to the roof. They said, "Oh, he's on a roof. He's on the roof." He said what he was doing was he was trying to get a signal, just like human technology. He got on the roof. He was trying to get a signal to get us the hell out of here. And that's what happened.
I have a feeling they have a lot of innate wisdom to communicate. This might be interesting for you to do many more remote.
Yeah, I would like to.
And just hear what they have to say. They might have so many answers.
Yeah, they're definitely. I became a believer after this incident, though, that it's like, okay, now we've got the actual film footage and proof that these things are out there. Wow. So, Chuck, did you have fun?
I had fun. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
We said we wanted to do a fun show today, or at least we wanted
a little bit lighter.
People are just getting down. They're getting bogged down with all of this bad news and everything. And, hopefully we can brighten things a bit, and help people to find their own happiness.
I think we did a good job today.
We try our best.
So, Chuck, if people want to have a reading with you or how do they contact you? Yes.
I've had a few people reach out to me already, and this is something I love doing. It's my honor. It's my privilege to read for you. And it's just my name. You see Chuck Dransfield. It's Dransfield Chuck, one word, @gmail.com. I've also been doing some Christmas commissions, artwork. And as I've said before, many times when I have a subject, I do receive messages from that person. So you get a little more than just a portrait from me. You get a message from that person as well. And also I have my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, and I do a live stream on Mondays, Chuck's Captivating Chat, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And of course, Whimsy, how do we find you? And I might say also, your readings would make wonderful gifts for people. You're doing gift certificates for people.
I am. If people need gifts, readings, absolutely reach out to me. You can book me through Booksy. And of course, we would love to see you if you do. All right, we're out of here. Be kind to all. Did you have something else you wanted to add, Chuck?
I think that covers it. I just want to make sure you covered everything that you do.
I did, yes. All right. So if you need to see me as a medical consult, medical intuitive, or tarot card readings, absolutely reach out to me through Booksy. All the information is below. And of course, also check out our Book of the Month Club. If you yourself have written a book and you would like Chuck and I to consider it as part of our book club, we're looking for independent authors who write about provocative subjects. And so please send it to care of Dr. Whimsy Anderson, 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. And maybe your book will appear at Taco Tuesday's Book of the Month Club. All right. I guess that's it for us. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time,
See
everyone.
you next time. See you next Tuesday.
Bye, love.
Thank you, everybody.